everyone, and welcome to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy at TV. In case you're not a subscriber yet, please do subscribe. Just press the subscribe button as well as turn on the notification bell so that you can get notifications when we upload our videos. Don't also forget to subscribe and join, follow, like our other social media platforms. Of course, you're seeing it right about now. Don't also forget to share this video across your platforms. Enjoy the video. All right, welcome back to the program. Joining me right now is my guest, Dotun Seyingbo. He's a development analyst. Hello, Dotun, and welcome to the program.
Hi, Nancy.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, a development economist. Dotun, are you there? Please. Okay, now I can see you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, so Dotun, let's get started. I have the numbers here. I assume also you've seen the numbers, the NBS report that has been released. The inflation numbers have definitely told us that we are witnessing disinflation, at least for the past 3 months. Would you say that this disinflation is due to better macroeconomic management? Or is it that we're just seeing what I call perhaps a statistical mirage or statistical gymnastics running on 2024 base year effects?
Well, so of course, to answer that question properly, one would need to, do a proper study to understand what the causal effect is. But by and large, I think it would not be entirely out of place to attribute the effect to the base effect largely, right? So of course the rebasing effect is still playing out here, and that you would see from the year-on-year. The disinflation actually is attributed mostly to the decline in the year-on-year inflation rate. We still see that on month, we're still seeing some pressures, right, from 1.53% in May to 1.68 in June. So there's still that inflationary pressure. There's still ongoing price pressure when we look at the month-on-month figure, but the year-on-year. And of course, the year-on-year then also gives us a sense that this is most likely due to the rebasing exercise that was done, right? So, so I think we will not be out of place to still say this is as a result of the the rebasing exercise that was done. However, there are still some contributions from the macroeconomic reforms that have been introduced by the government. We've seen, for example, the implications of the ease in Naira, some of the gains, marginal gains from the FX policy playing out here. We've seen stability in the value of the Naira over time, and that also has its way of improving what we're seeing, although may not be that significant. Of course, that's because we also know that the Nigerian's inflationary pressure is not significant. It's not only a monetary phenomenon. We also have the contribution of the fiscal side. So I would say that by and large, we can attribute this to the rebasing effect, but also there are some gains from the macroeconomic reforms that the current administration has embarked on that might also be playing out here. But of course, we still keep our fingers crossed. Of course, because of the rebasing exercise, it's hard to really pinpoint what is really happening. And also because when you, the CBN's Purchasing Managers Index that was recently published, although alluded or showed some gains, expansion in the major sectors like the manufacturing, industry, services, and agricultural sector, but they also did one that input price indices are actually going up. So even they also acknowledged that some of the structural issues that is still contributing to the stickiness of input prices in the country is still very much exists is still very much there. Much hasn't been done, and we all know. Also because our inflationary issues are also supply side driven largely, and we haven't really done much on those fronts. So it's still a bit of mixed feelings. Not necessarily, we're not there yet. I think that's the point. It's still very fragile. What we're saying is still very fragile, but we can say the marginal progress being made here and there, going by the numbers.
Uh, but many Nigerians do not feel that that marginal progress as you said it, because what we are witnessing is disinflation, not really deflation. Because disinflation, of
Yes.
course, is the rate at which um, prices rise, but at a slower rate.
No. Yeah.
Deflation definitely is that you're seeing the prices of things come down. So I don't even understand perhaps why our authorities will be saying, okay, we are seeing macroeconomic recovery, inflation is coming down, when there's disinflation. You understand what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah.
yes, I will want you to address that briefly,
I
briefly
think I
before I
think
move to my next question.
Oh, okay. I think we should, of course, the numbers are there, and on the basis of the numbers, they can say what they're saying. And just like you rightly pointed out, yeah, it's one thing to talk about the numbers, because going by the numbers, they can actually lay claim to, disinflation, really happening. There are emerging signs, signals of disinflation going by the decline in the year on year. And that's actually still comparing this figure with last year's June inflation rate that they're still using the 2009, base year. What they would need to do is to do a backcasting of of the inflation rate to using the current, basket and current methodology, and they would see that nothing much has happened. There actually hasn't been disinflation in that sense, right? In that sense of comparing using the current methodology, that's what I mean. So, but of course, looking at the numbers, they have every right to say that what they're doing but it comes back to what the average Nigerian feels. The average Nigerian is here to feel, and that's because this hasn't, it's still very fragile. It's still more of the numbers. It's still largely driven by the rebasing exercise which is just methodological changes, and just like you rightly said. But of course, from their end, they have every right to say, "Oh, we see things happening." And like I said, also this disinflation conversation is also on the back of the year-on-year inflation rate. When we look at the month-on-month, there are
Yes.
still increase,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, which was what I
So,
pointed out.
yeah.
Do you think that this is impacting
Our
the
people. So
credibility? Do you think that this is impacting the credibility of this data, for the fact that we have inflation now rebased to 2024 as a base year? Do you think that it's affecting the credibility and comparability of this data over time?
No, it won't, definitely. Every society, every country would definitely have to review their methodology. And we know that for every rebasing exercise was actually needed. Nigeria, as there's structural changes, there's changes in our structure as an economy. And of course, what we're using to measure such economy has to also reflect those changes. And that's what has happened,
Does
right?
it improve clarity for you as a development economist, Dotun?
Yeah, as a development economics, we are
Director, please,
trained.
can I see Dotun? I can't see him. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
We
go
are
ahead.
trained.
Yes.
Yeah, we are trained to expect that methodology will change, right? So I would say that, and we are trained to also interpret, the effect of these changes in methodology and reflect all of those in our understanding of these numbers. And that's what we are doing, right? So I would say to a large extent, it helps us, although it creates a bit of, blurriness, but of course it's expected. And it's something that every economist would anticipate. However, that is why when we're then doing these kinds of analysis, we're then, throwing in all those caveats, which we're doing right now. right? So I would say that in terms of clarity, yes, it helps us to really know that, okay, this is what's happening, especially given that the rebasing exercise was actually long overdue. But the key point which you have made is that we then need to be able to connect these numbers to what the average Nigeria is feeling,
So
right?
why are we not able to connect the dots? Do you understand? Is there it's a very hard
Yeah.
question, yes, because inflation, they say, definitely is going down, but Nigerians, I go to the market, I know how much I spend when I go to the market. Like I mentioned, even at the intro, during the intro, even crayfish is expensive. Before, if you can't buy meat, you buy fish. If you can't buy fish, you buy crayfish. If you can't buy crayfish, you buy eggs. Now you can't even afford any of those. You know,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
staples that we normally eat, very expensive. When you go to the market, you see gloomy faces all around. So how do we balance it that inflation, there's disinflation, but yet there's macroeconomic recovery? And I ask our officials all this whenever I'm moderating all these high-level sessions, and they still give me this kind of answers that you're giving me. What exactly is happening? Or am I
Well,
seeing something people are not seeing?
I think maybe you are going to the market that we don't go to. You know,
Wait,
we the
I'm saying
maybe your
local
market
market,
is
so
different.
no. That's what I'm talking about,
But
local market. I'm not talking of the
yeah,
supermarkets. I'm talking of even the local markets.
yeah,
I make
yeah.
it a point of duty to do that always.
Yeah, I think it's still, to be honest, Nancy, and you already allude to that point. It's still, this is a more fundamental issue, right? About it could be issues around our, data infrastructure, methodology and all that. One of the issues that, um, I'd say policymakers even grapple with is the integrity of data collection and all of that. So those are issues. Maybe how representative are some of these? I think they're doing their best because they are transparent in terms of how they are, collecting this information and the sampling procedure and all of that. Yeah, the thing also could also be that, yeah, I think that would be much about it for me.
Okay.
But for us, we will still talk about the numbers, right? Because opinions are great, but if they're not facts, it's hard to verify.
Okay.
So yeah, but that would be it. As economists, we talk the numbers out there, and we trust the methodology that has been provided by the NBS, which we believe has actually gone through serious expert review. So unfortunately, that's where we are. But of course, it is a major problem, like connecting all these numbers to
So
reality.
if those numbers do not connect to the average Nigerian consumer, that our purchasing power definitely declining. I wonder where we go from here. And when I'm talking about even markets, I'm not talking of the esoteric markets, Dotun, as you were suggesting that whether
I,
it's not
I
the
think I,
market you go to, I go to local market. For example, the orange market here in Abuja, you know, I wear my slippers, I go there. Even
I
where they
think
do
Nancy,
wholesale, still
yeah, I think
expensive.
Nancy, the main point I also think we should make is that these numbers we're seeing is not saying that prices have declined significantly, right?
I
So
understand you. The rate of rise is
exactly.
declining. That's what it means.
He
Isn't
said,
it? The rate of rising is declining, but it's still a rise.
but month on month,
Yes,
month on
yeah,
month, month on month, it's still increasing.
increasing.
Exactly. Month on month is still increasing. And that month on month is what I would focus on, particularly in checking, especially when you've had a rebasing exercise that makes, the 2024 June inflation versus 2025 June inflation, because they're of, different basket, different base periods. So if we
Okay,
focus on the month on month, it shows that whatever disinflation rate we're experiencing is still very, very fragile. It's still marginal.
marginal.
So
Okay,
we should not expect that, that change would have, become, clearly
drastic
noticeable.
change.
Exactly. So
Okay,
we're not there. So we're still not there.
so should we
Yeah,
celebrate the little wins that we're having in this inflation? And hold your
I think
thoughts there.
so.
Hold your thoughts there, Dotson, because I need to ask you two questions. And I need you to use a minute to answer because I have a second interview. The core inflation, of course, we saw it jumping 2.46%, and I defined what core inflation is. in my intro. If we're seeing the core inflation at 2.46%, that definitely suggests that there are pressure points in services, in housing, in transports. What does
Yeah.
this really reveal about the structural fragility of our economy, of the inflation drivers? Let me even put it that way, not of our economy. What does that core inflation reveal about the structural fragility of our inflation drivers? Then the second question is around the states. We've seen that Borno State, if we have that card, I would like us to bring it back again for the state's inflation data. I'm seeing that Borno, I think, it recorded an inflation rate above 31%, but food inflation around 47%. What do these geographical disparities say about our national response to inflation, especially in the food zones where they are supposed to be producing more food, yet food inflation is high? So very quickly, Dotun.
Yeah, so I think this also just exposes the structural issues that you mentioned. So there's still insecurity is not significantly tamed, and we're seeing some of these incidents still happening in our rural communities where food production happens actively. So we're still not there in terms of dealing with insecurity issues. And of course, in the rural community where you expect that these food items are produced, they're not able to go to farm. So we haven't really made significant progress in that area. And I think that's the main point here. Although we did see that overall in the rural inflation is lower, reducing, while urban inflation is increasing. That also speaks to the transportation infrastructure that you also alluded to, so being able to move foods, from where they're being produced to the urban areas, we still have issues around post-harvest losses, in the agricultural sector. We still have a lot of issues to be fixed in the agricultural sector. Although the Purchasing Managers Index did say that the expansion in the agricultural sector, but they also alluded, like I said, to rising input prices, which of course can be explained in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the inputs and all and seedlings and all of that generally. So those are still very important issues that
Okay.
we're still faced with. Yeah,
Just a few seconds. As citizens, should we trust the data? Do citizens and market trust the data from the NBS?
I think they
Or should we
should.
just follow the narrative? Even as we
I
wait
think
for the GDP rebasing data? Or do you think the NBS is already losing that narrative of trust?
No, I think to a large extent, yes, there might be one or two concerns, but by and large, they've done what they should do, and Nigerians should just trust the institution.
Okay.
The numbers out there, like I said, the June numbers doesn't say that, oh, everything is all clear. No, it doesn't say everything is all clear. So that's the point. It says that we're still very fragile, although there are marginal progress. And to be honest, we should also expect that some of the macroeconomic reforms that have been put in place since 2023, they will start to yield, results. And we're seeing those marginal results of, even very small. Also, just to point out quickly, we still hear of the electricity tariff still coming on board, right? I know you also know that they need to clear backlog of debt. That is still, if that still happens, it will still trickle back into this. We're not
Okay.
out of the boat yet,
Okay.
and that's what the number also says. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Dotun, for your insights
Thank
this
you so
morning.
much, Nan.
Yes, we'll speak again soon. All right.
Sure. Thanks.
Thank you, Dotun Seyingbo, development economist, and we've been looking at Nigeria June inflation report. Thank you for making it up to this minute watching the video. Thank you all. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Moneyline with Nancy TV. Like, follow all our other social media platforms where we keep you up to speed with fantastic interviews, as well as markets, personal finance, business, and economy information. This is the best place to be. I'll see you all again in the next video.